Cutting across to some breaking updates coming in, two international law firms are now in discussions with families of the victims of the June 12th Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad for filing potential lawsuits in the US or the UK against the airline to claim legal rights under existing international laws. These lawsuits would be independent of additional steps Tata Sons may be taking to compensate these families, including financially. Of course, the airline has already announced that they will be giving compensation to each and every family of the victims. There are, in fact, entire families that have been victims of this massive air crash. Remember, 240 people on board have perished, and then there are others who were on ground when this plane crashed into the BC Medical College buildings. There are law students and doctors and their families, etc., who are also part of the deceased and the casualties in this matter. But now we're getting to know that the victims and their kins could be considering an international lawsuit. Two international law firms, in fact, have been in discussion with families of the victims for filing potential lawsuits either in the US or the UK. Sanjay Suri, my colleague, is also joining us with more on this. Sanjay, what more are you learning?
Well, there has been considerable disquiet and unease among the relatives of those who died in that crash. There was an announcement, an immediate announcement of 1 crore of rupees. And I know some of the relatives who had gathered even within a couple of days of the crash were saying that that amounts to 86,000, 87,000 pounds, and that is no compensation for something like this. And naturally, they have taken some time to process their complaint. They are exploring who could represent them. There are two law firms that are believed to have been contacted, and Keystone Law and Wisner Law. At the moment, this is in the exploratory stage. Legally, they are considering what case to bring. They are considering even whether to bring action in the UK or in the US. And the US would be a very likely choice, given that it is Boeing that they will wish to sue. And there are, of course, also a number of legal firms and others, not least watchdogs, who have been crying for some time that the safety records of Boeing is not very good. The safety checks are not sound and they are a violation. They'll be looking to sue Boeing in the US, very likely.
Thanks a lot for pointing that out, in fact, Sanjay, that this is not just against Air India. If this class action kind of suit is filed, then it will be also against the maker of the aircraft, Boeing, which has already been wading through very troubled waters as far as the safety standards inside the company is concerned. I do want to understand from you, Sanjay, that these are all families, including Indian citizens, who are being contacted by these law firms. This is primarily for citizens of UK. For example, there were dozens of UK citizens who perished in this flight that was bound for London.
Almost all of the UK citizens who died were of Indian origin. So a larger number are Indian citizens, others are British passport holders of Indian origin. But for purpose of taking such an action, there is not such a strong distinction being made, and people are looking in common for a higher compensation. We do know that the Air India has made that offer. That is not necessarily its last offer. It is very likely that Air India on its own would up that compensation in time. But this is seeking to preempt those moves.
All right, Sanjay Suri, thanks a lot for joining us. I lost your link for a little bit there, Sanjay. We'll keep coming back to you for more. We're, of course, tracking this development very, very closely.